Hi everybody, Gretchen here. Just adjusting the camera a little bit. I am just stamping another bunny here because I had to make a last minute kit and I took a lot of pieces from my kit and it seems like there was so I ran out of these bunnies, so I need one of them and figured to stamp it now and let it dry for a couple minutes. So there may be other pieces I'm missing. It seems like there was one significant one that I was missing and now I can't remember which one that is, but we will figure it out as we go. So hi Cheryl, I see you there. Is Lindsay with you or is she going to be separate or at her house? Are you at the same house or are you at different houses? I don't really like how that one's stamped, so I'm going to stamp another one. I do have to say this one is a little bit of a challenge because, that's how I did it. Usually I put the stamp on the smallest block I can, but this one just fits on the block. So you can't see where the edges are when you're stamping it on this shape. And that's a little better. Sorry, I'm just getting things set up here. All right, so the other way you can do it is you can stamp it first and then cut it out with the thin cuts, but I prefer cutting it out first. So this is the first card we are going to make if you want to get out your supplies. Okay, you're at separate houses. So I'm guessing she is still finishing up what she's doing so she can get on. So I've already folded my scored and folded my piece here, but you will have a long strip. I think that's my password. Where do I click? All right. Oh, hey, Lindsay. Don't know where Judy is tonight, but she might be working. All right. So this class has some, got a mess on my work surface here. Has some different folds on it than just the standard fold. So I'm just pulling up my worksheet and as usual, looking for my scoring tool. All right, so we are going to score on the lighter side of this cardstock. This cardstock is, the color is sage. And since now we know that Close to My Heart is going out of business, things are selling out rapidly. Some things are coming back in. Some things are not. I never know the status at any given moment, but I will say if there's any supplies that you definitely want, you want to buy them sooner rather than later. And this month there is a sale on all available cardstock, so it is a good time to stock up if you want to have some of these colors before they're no longer available. But so we're gonna, this is a 4x11 inch piece of cardstock, and we're going to score at 1 3/4 and 7 1/4. And like I said, that's on the light side. All right, so then we're going to fold and score on these lines. So the light side is on the outside, and they're going to meet right there in the middle. No overlap. And so we have a small flap on the left and a larger flap on the right. And we are going to, okay. That was the deal with some of my papers. Some of my papers are going to be slightly different than yours because, like I said, I put together a kit at the last minute, and so I substituted a few on mine. So we have this beautiful floral print, and we are going to put that on that smaller flap on the left side. All right, and then you should have another one to go in the inside of the flap. And I ran out of paper on this one too, so I'm winging it here, guys, on what I've got left. I actually had another pack of the paper, but I didn't want to open it for just a couple of pieces. So I am piecing mine, but you should have a full piece on yours. So you just have one piece of pattern paper on that. All right. And then on the right side flap, you're going to have this yellow polka dotted. I am going to have either the butterfly, I'm going to use the plaid. And you've got the warm and fuzzy hugs there, and I did not stamp on mine yet. It goes, the narrower side goes left to right. The taller side is top to bottom. And then on the inside, we have the Happy Easter. And we can color this first before we attach it, but there's really minimal coloring on it, so I'm not going to worry too much about that. I'm just going to go ahead and attach it. So we're using 2 different stamp sets. Well, actually 3 different stamp sets. There's just one stamp from a third one on these cards, and they are this one right here, which is called Honey Bunny. That's the name of the sub-name of the workshop. Oh, sorry, I didn't look up Cheryl. Thank you, Lindsay, for repeating those numbers for me. I'm out of practice here. It's been a while since I've done a class, right? And I promise I'll look up more often. And this is the other one, which is called Spring Bunnies. So we used both these stamp sets. And both of these stamp sets have the option for thin cuts, which I purchased. So all of your shapes are cut out with the thin cuts. Okay, I am going to definitely color my bunnies. I just want to get some scrap paper here so I have a nice cushion. I'm going to color them before I attach them, and then I also have to color the eggs and then the Happy Easter. I am using a selection of the Tri-Blend markers. I will say the colors as I'm using them, but they're also listed on your instruction sheet. And your eggs, I put all of the extra pieces in another envelope, and I believe it should be in the envelope for the pink card. If you are looking for them, which I'm sure you are. So I'm just going to pull those out. All right, so I'm going to color my bunnies. These bunnies I made gray. So I use the brown gray blend marker. So what I'm going to do is start with the medium color, and I'm going to go around the edges with it. I am going to actually color all of the outer ear here with it, because I imagine the ear is a little darker. And then I'm going to come up on his head and not go all the way around to his face, but just over the top of his head and down around his cheek and the bottom of his face here. All the way up to under his mouth. And I'm probably going to add some darker around the edges, so I am going to leave enough space that I can bring some darker in. Before I move on to the body, I am going to switch to the lighter color and color in the rest of the face with the lighter color. That gives it some time to blend before it dries. Because as you know, these alcohol markers blend really nicely. If you were using a watercolor marker or watercolors or colored pencils, you don't have to worry so much about switching back and forth with the colors, because they're not going to have the dry time. This is a white gel pen, and I went out in the edge, out of the line here on the bunny's head. So I'm just covering it up with some white gel pen. Okay. And then I'm going to switch to the dark here, and I am just going to go around the edges a bit and add some shadow in. tip of the ear here. All right. And now I'm going to do the same thing with the rest of the body. I'm going to start with the medium. I found, like in the past, I've told you, like I'd start with the light and then go over it with the medium. And this time I experimented by starting with the medium, because I could kind of picture where I wanted it, how much I wanted it, and it was less like coloring over, like coloring the whole area with the light and then covering half of it with the medium. I just felt that it was a little less coloring to do it this way. I colored his feet and his legs with the darker there, and I'm just doing the outside of his belly here and above his leg. I mean, you could still make adjustments, and after you put the light in, add more medium and things like that, but doing his hand here, some of that's going to be covered up by the carrot. So you could definitely make it a little darker under here. I'm going to color between his hands because that's technically kind of going to be in shadow behind the carrot. All right, so now I'm going to color the rest of it with the light. Just kind of smoothing the line between them a little bit. It's the thing with the alcohol markers, it does look like it leaves some lines, but as it dries, it kind of smooths out a little bit. All right, and now I'm going to go ahead with that dark, and again, just a little bit around the outside of his back and his feet, and then under his head. The stuff where he'd be more in shadow. Okay, between his hands. You could also darken along his whiskers, but I did not do that on mine, and I'm not going to do it now. All right. I'm actually going to add a little more medium in over here. Blend it a little better. Okay. Now I need my pink, which is pale pink, which I have to laugh because that's the lightest color of the pale pink, which I don't consider pretty pale, very pale, but you know, I'm going to adjust his little nose here and then the inside of his ear. This is a pretty bright pink to me, but all right. And then I'm going to do the same thing on the little bunny. As long as I have the pink out, I will do his ear first. And he doesn't really have a nose shape. I mean, he has a black outline, but there's not really a hole in there, but I'm going to add a little bit of pink anyway. Now I'm going to go back to my brown gray, and he's facing the other way, so we're kind of going to do the opposite of what we just did. And he has a nice fluffy white tail. I don't know what happened to this guy's tail. I guess we'll just imagine he's churned enough that we don't see it. I guess you could put a little piece of fluff there. That'd be fun. Now I'm not putting as much of the medium on him because he doesn't have as much space, and he has a little pale belly area that I'm just going to leave white. Do his here and around the top of his head. Okay. And then I'm going to fill in with the light. I didn't bother to stop between head and body on him since he's so much smaller, but you can. And then I'm just going to add just a few dark accents. All right. So now you got the bunnies. All right. And you need a carrot. So the carrot I did with the burnt orange blend. And this one I did color in the whole thing with the light. And then I traced over the stamped black lines with the medium. And then colored in right at the top too. Oops, went a little wild there. And then the green is light green blend. And this one I'm going to do medium. And this one you're not so much coloring in, it's just coloring around the background area where that stem is. All right, so I'm gonna do the eggs, the cluster of 3 eggs. And the first one I made was a blue. This is kind of a gray blue. It's vintage blue blend. And I'm going to color, that's the leftmost egg. I'm going to color the whole thing in with the light color. And if you have, you know, if you don't have these markers with the blend, you can use 2 different color markers. You can use, you know, just do a light coat with first and then color over it to bring in some darker color. And you could do the same thing with colored pencils. Colored pencils are great because you can just, you know, press harder to get some darker color. Okay, so then I just added some shadow on the right hand side here, the bottom right. I'm going to do that for the other two as well. I'm going to go back to my pale pink. It should be called not so pale pink for the middle egg. And again, I'm going to add that shadow. With the medium. I was wondering why it didn't come out as emphasized. So that's what you can do with a regular marker. And then yellow, which is light yellow blend. And then switch to the medium. And then there's the grass. So this is that light green blend again. Again, I'm going to use the medium shade, and I'm just going to highlight those grass highlights here. You could add more underneath if you wanted to. All right, and then we're going to do two of these individual eggs. And we're going to make one peachy, which is the Fair Skin blend. Start out with the light. And if you want your eggs bolder, you could, of course, start off with the medium and use the dark as a shadow, or even go as far as the dark. If you want to pretend you left your egg in the dye for a long time. And then we've got a purple one, the purple blend. And of course, you can make your eggs any colors you want. When you use the dyeing kits, there's never a good purple. The purple always causes problems. And it's funny because I just put this connection together now. Like, a lot of times they say purple paper and purple fabric is harder to make because of the dyes. All right. So now we can cut all these out. And I, as I usually do, left a put the wrong piece aside. Left a little white border around each of them. I was kind of disappointed that there wasn't a die in the set for these two shapes, but I guess they would have been pretty teeny tiny, so a lot of us would have lost them, I guess. They're not hard to cut out, just probably takes less time to cut them out with the scissors than it does to actually set them up to cut them out with the die cutter. Maybe. All right, and then my 3 eggs. Oh, I forgot we have to color our flowers in on our Happy Easter greeting too. All right. All right. So now the big bunny, you see that he's overlapping the opening. So when you put your tape on there, on the back of him, do not put tape all the way to his right side. If you want, you can hold him here before you put your adhesive on. You can hold it here and turn it over and trace a line so you know how far to go. But then when you put them back on, you have to make sure that you're lining up the line so your pencil line doesn't show. And he's about this one I put up a little higher. He's about 3/8 of an inch from the bottom edge of the card. So there, you can see. And then my foam tape, just put a little skinny bit on the carrot, and only on the carrot, the lower portion of the carrot, not on the stem. So that's also kind of got to stick out in space here. Just going to put it so that it looks like it's in his hands. Now, if you wanted to be really fancy, you could cut. It wouldn't work with the foam tape, but if you want to cut the line between his hand and the body, you could slip the carrot in, and then it would look like it was behind his hand. But I didn't get that fancy. And then I'm also going to put foam tape on the little bunny. And I'm going to put him a little higher. So I don't know if the big bunny is giving the carrot to the little bunny or if the little bunny already gave the carrot to the big bunny. But one of those things happened. All right, so I'm going to put just regular adhesive on the back of my 3 eggs and then on the back of the single peach egg. If you find it easier to use liquid glue or a glue dot, you can do that. I am going to put the peachy egg down first on the right hand side here, and then I'm going to put the 3 egg cluster overlapping it. And then I'm going to put a piece of foam tape on the back of the purple egg. And I'm going to put that kind of laying on its side on the right here, but so you can still see the egg cluster and the peach egg. And then, of course, on your card, the greeting is up here. And I will add that after class. I'm going to, excuse me. Use that pale pink marker again to color in my flowers. And it's funny because I kind of did this the opposite. I use the medium first in the center of each flower. And again, that's kind of like, so I didn't have to color in the whole thing and then color right over that area again. We'll make it darker. All right. And then I colored the rest of it with the light shade. And then I'm going to use the light green marker, the light green blend, and I am going to use the light shade this time to color in all the leaves because I don't want them to be darker than the ink color. All right, and that's all you have to do in there. Whoops. I'll hold up this one since this is more what your card looks like. There you go. I'll try to arrange here so I can keep that on so you can see it. All right. That aside. We're going to move on to the yellow card next. And these bunnies are in that other stamp set. Those there. And this card, again, I made it a little different. Now I did 2 pieces of cardstock, and we're going to do that in a minute, and I'm going to show you how I did that. But an alternate way is if you had a standard size card, you know, that this was a full sheet, you could also cut it down. You could, like say this was the piece of cardstock, you could cut on the fold line and cut across at whichever level and, you know, remove that square. So that would be one way to create the card, but I'm going to show you how to create it with 2 pieces here. So you've got a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 piece of cardstock, and I'm going to use the lighter side facing me. And then this is a 2 1/4 by 4 3/4 inch cardstock, and you're going to put it in your scoring tool. Sorry, the words are eluding me tonight. And you're going to score at 4 1/4, which is light side up. Score at 4 1/4. So that's the width of your card. And you're just creating this little 1/2 inch flap here, which I'm going to fold back and I'm going to score. And then we are going to put adhesive on this flap. Yeah. So you're going to turn it over and you're just going to put adhesive on the back of that 1/2 inch flap. So right there, see the shiny? That's where I put adhesive. I'm going to try to get good coverage on that. Now you're going to line it up with the bottom of your larger piece of cardstock. It should be the exact same width. I'll line up my right and bottom edges here. And then press down on that flap. And then I'm going to score it, or burnish it rather, so that it sticks really well. And that's all you have to do to make your flap. All right, so let's put on all our pattern paper. And okay, so we've got the pink pattern paper, and just want to make sure here, yours should have your sentiment on it, have a lovely Easter. Again, I didn't get to stamp mine. I will add that later. So we'll put the adhesive on the yellow dotted side. You could also use the other piece of paper if you didn't want that sentiment. If you want to use the bunnies for another occasion. All right, so that just gets centered on that flap. There's an 1/8 inch border all the way around, 4 sides. Okay, and then we're going to open it up. And we have our pink cardstock on the back of our flap. Now, this one that you got is an older color, so it does not have a lighter or a darker side. There is a current similar color. It is Flamingo. So if you were to purchase that, that would have a lighter and darker side, but this one does not. So it doesn't matter which side you put your adhesive on, but it does get centered on the back of that flap there. And then next to it, we're going to do the yellow polka dots. So that goes on the bottom half, or the bottom portion, less than a half of the back of the panel. And then finally, we'll put our butterflies, unless you like your plaid better. And we're going to put that on the top portion. It should, again, should have an 1/8 inch all the way around, including between it and the yellow polka dotted paper. So that's what the inside of your card should look like. All right, then all we have to do is color in our bunnies. And I made these bunnies brown. So I used a different marker. I used the red-brown blend. And I am going to start and color, except for the inside of their ears, I'm going to color the whole thing basically with the light end of this marker. And then I'm just going to, you'll see, I'm going to add in the accents with the medium. I couldn't decide which set of stamps I liked better, which bunnies, so that's why I did both, because they were both so cute. I wasn't even going to do Easter cards this year. And then these bunnies were so cute, and the paper was so cute that I decided I had to do them. And this bunny's facing away from us, showing off his cute little tail. I guess I did color his tail in brown on my sample, and it looked weird, that bit of white, so I'm going to color it in. Okay. And now we can use the darker, or the medium. Oops, I have the wrong end. Use the medium, and I'm just going to add some shading around where they have the stamped lines in the fur with the medium shade of the marker. And where I imagine some of the shadows to be. Under the neck there, the ear, where the hands cross, at his feet. I kind of did the work on this one by adding in that shading for you, so you don't have to guess as much. Now, if you wanted darker bunnies, you could start with the medium and shade with the dark. Or if you wanted some really colorful Easter pastel bunnies, you don't have to color these realistic colors. There's a plane flying overhead that's making a very high-pitched noise. I don't usually hear the planes that distinctly. Must be using the alternate flight path. Even though we're so close to the airport, the planes usually fly the other direction, so they're not so noisy. But every once in a while, if they take off, there's another runway, and then we'll hear them. I don't know, this one the shading is a little weird on. Get it a little heavy. I'm going to make him overall just a darker bunny because I don't like how I did that. It looked weird. Got distracted by the plane. So if I make him overall darker, he'll stand out from the crowd, but it won't look like he has weird fur. There we go. And then I'll just add very few dark accents because I don't want to mess it up again. I guess he's the dark chocolate bunny. Okay. That's better. I also could have waited to see what happened because, like I said, they dry and kind of smooth out a little bit, but some of these guys, I'm going to go over their whiskers. Oops. I'm going to make this first guy dark too, so there's not just one dark one. There we go. And then just, again, just a few accents with the dark marker. There we go. There's a little variation on the coloring for you. You could also make some gray, some brown if you like that too. All right, now instead of the pale pink marker, I used the Fair Skin blend to do the inside of their ears. And I don't remember, no, I did the medium. I didn't want to start with the medium and discover it was too dark. I might have even done the dark, but I'm going to stick with the medium here. I missed a piece on my card, so I'm going back. Okay, so that's the coloring for this one. And that's the first sample, so you can see the difference. I kind of like having the darker ones in there now that I've done it. All right, so again, this piece is going to overlap the, it's only going to be attached partially to the flap. So when you put adhesive on them, you're only going to put it on the bottom. I'm going to put, well, that was only supposed to be 2 stripes, but I missed a little my positioning and they overlapped a little bit. I'm going to put them on the bottom and center them across your flap. It's just the top of the flap is just a little above eye line of this guy, or below this guy's chin. So that's that card. All right, so now we're going to do the pink triangle. Now, I did this design in another class a few years ago, so you may have done it. Again, this piece is the older pink, so it does not have a light side and a dark side. But if you buy the newer color, it will. So, doesn't matter which side you put in. Now, I created this by having it, cutting my cardstock down to 8.5 by 11, so a standard letter size sheet, and I cut on the diagonal. Now, obviously, when you don't have two different shades, it doesn't matter which diagonal you cut on, whether it's that one or that one. But if you do care, if you do have a two-sided piece of cardstock, you do want to pay attention to what side you're cutting on, if it matters to you. So I'm going to put it into the corner with the long side on the left, the 8.5 inch side at the top, and I'm going to score at 4 1/4. So that's our standard width for a card. Then I'm going to rotate it, and the point, the long point, is going to be at 0, and it's the 11th inch side. So you're at 0 and 11, and you're going to score at 5 1/2. And again, that's our standard size card, 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And then you're going to fold on your score lines and burnish. And hopefully, if you've scored straight lines, and I cut straight lines, when you fold those over, you will create 2 triangle flaps that should meet down the middle of the diagonal of your card. All right. Now, this piece of paper, which is Seabrook, I believe. Hold on, let me check. Oh, Glacier, sorry. It's Glacier. And I put this through an embossing folder. And this is the embossing folder. They were available when I created the card, but with the frenzy, I think they're all sold out. But it's called Botanical. And again, depending on what side you want it showing, I mean, you've got the side I gave you, which I believe is the flowers are raised. This one, I wanted to show you the difference. So the flowers are embossed. So that's the 2 sides of the cardstock. The flowers are raised. The flowers are embossed. It will matter which way you put it through. if it matters to you which way the embossing goes, it will matter what angle you're cutting on, because you'll have to, you have to match your angle. One way to be sure you've got the right side would be to emboss it first and then cut it on the diagonal. That way you know which way to put it in the embossing folder. Or you can use the patterned paper like we're going to use on the top here with the plaid paper. But the object of all that is just make sure you cut your angle correctly. Aha, this is the piece of paper I was missing. So I'm going to pretend I'm not going to cut it now and delay us, but I will add it later. So I'm just going to put, just like always, put my adhesive around the outside of the paper. I just have 3 edges instead of 4. And I'm going to center it on this, the bottom right triangle here. Has the standard 1/8 inch border all the way around. Now I will say when you're cutting this piece of paper, normally, okay, this is a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inch card. So if we were going to put a full background piece of paper, it would be 4 by 5 1/4, which is 1/4 inch off each direction. You actually, because you have this slit in the middle, or this divide in the middle, so you have an extra kind of 1/8 inch border here, you actually have to cut your paper 1/8 of an inch smaller than that. So, I mean, this measurement is in your instructions, but just to point it out, so it was cut at 3 7/8 by 5 1/8. So just to be aware that if you cut it the Sanders side and you're like, that's too big, and then cut it on the diagonal and notice it's too big, that's why, because you need to cut it a bit smaller so you have that extra border, unless for some reason you wanted to go right to the edge and not have that extra border. That's always an option. All right, so we are going to put our sentiment hopping down the bunny trail. We're going to layer that onto the pink rectangle. And then, like on the other cards, this is going to kind of hang over in space. So when we put adhesive on it, we only want to put adhesive on this portion of the pink, not this portion. And I'm going to use a temporary tape here because since I don't have my plaid, and actually I should tell you right now to go ahead and put your plaid in your top left corner here, your top left triangle. And since I don't have my piece and I can't do that, I'm going to just put temporary adhesive on mine so I can take it back off and put that paper on when we're done here. I'm just giving you a second to add your plaid paper so I don't rush you. All right, and so I am going to put this, it's about 3/4 of an inch from the top of the card. And I'm going to go ahead and just attach that there. And then hopefully you didn't put too much adhesive and, you know, it shouldn't be showing there. I'm going to put the pieces on the inside, and then we can color our bunny and our eggs. So this is another strip of that green floral paper. And I'm going to put that along the left edge of the rectangular panel on the inside. And I'm going to leave that 1/8 inch border at the top left and bottom. And then I'm going to put my Hello Spring in. And I'm going to center it top to bottom, and then center it from the edge of the floral paper and the score line. So this space, center it within that space there. My fingers don't, the two fingers don't stretch that far. All right. So that's what the inside looks like. All right, and then we should have a bunny. And then from your other collection of stamped images, we're going to color 2 more individual eggs and a cluster of little flowers here. So I want a yellow egg, and this is the light yellow blend again, using the light color. And then the medium to make a shadow the right and bottom. Then I'm going to make a blue one with my Vintage Blue blend. Again, using the light and medium tips. And then on my flowers, I'm going to use my pale pink. And I'm going to color all of each of the flowers in with the pink, the light. And then I'm just going to add some of those accents with the medium. And then the light green for the stems and the leaves, and I'm going to use the medium tip for that. I'm just going to trace over each of the stems and then color in the leaves. I'm going to add just a tiny bit of the dark over the line and the vein in the leaves. All right. And then the bunny. The bunny I left mostly white with just a little bit of gray. And I think I'm actually going to try to do it with even less gray this time. So I'm going to just start with the light one first. And I'm going to color in that foot. And most of that foot, I guess. And then around his back and bottom. This leg here and his belly. And his arms. Right here underneath his, or really to the left of his head and under his here. Yeah, I think that's all I'm going to do this time and keep it light. Now I'm going to do the outline of the ear there and a little bit of this ear. And around his face here, but I'm not going to go around the top of his head and his nose because I'm assuming the kind of the light is coming from that direction. So that's keeping his fur looking white there. Okay. And then maybe just a little bit on his tail here. There we go. Now we got a lighter colored bunny. And I'm going to find my pink marker again and do his nose. So tiny. And then the inside of his ear here. I do wish this was a paler color. But it does match really well with the color cardstock. So there we go. Now he's cut out, so he's good, but we do have to cut out our eggs and our flowers. And if you notice, I'm actually keeping the scissors still and I'm moving the paper, and that often gives you a smoother, rounded edge. Instead of, if you move the scissors, you kind of tend to make a bunch of little cuts. And if you move the paper, if you're able to move it, I got caught there, smoothly, then your edge will be a little smoother. And the flowers. The flowers are a little more free form as to where you cut them. All right. Now, I put the bunny on with foam tape, and again, he is hanging in space. So you can put some under his ear and under here, and then the back half of him, but don't put any under his head or his front arms. So it's, so it's not, so it's not sticking out. Now, again, I'm just going to temporarily put some low tack tape on mine until I get a piece of paper. So mine will be flat, but I'll put my foam tape on after I get my other piece of pattern paper. And what I'm going to do is his head just kind of touches the T and the R in the sentiment. Looks like he's hopping down a bunny trail. And then the 2 eggs and the flour I'm going to put on with foam tape as well. And those will go in the bottom right corner. I'm going to put the flowers down first. And then the yellow egg, I'm going to tip on its side. I'm going to give it a little space because then I want the blue one next. And I just want that one overlapping the yellow egg a little bit and just the tiny bit of the flowers, which is why I want to leave some space there. All right. And now we got the easel card. Lots of pieces. All right, so this one stands up. You're going to need a pencil. I'm just scrolling down my directions here so I make sure I give you all the right measurements. And so the first thing you're going to do is take a ruler and you're going to draw a 1.5 inch line on the left edge of your paper. 1.5 inches from the left edge. Now, just a very pale line. You might want to erase it later. It's just so you can visually see how far down to score. It doesn't have to be the full length of the paper. So I've got my ruler, I've got a quilting ruler here, so it's wide. So I've got it at 1.5, and I'm just going to make a very pale line down the majority of the paper. Not edge to edge, but, you know, over the big center section. All right. So that's 1.5 inches. Now, you're going to put it in your scoreboard. And you're going to put the line closest to the top here. So it's 11 inches across the top. And you're going to score at 2.5, but you're only going to go down as far as your line. So this is why we drew the line here, so we know how far to go down. So just as far as that line. So that's 2.5. And you're also going to score at 7.5. you're going to rotate your cardstock 180 degrees, and you're going to score at, so now the line is closer to the bottom. You're going to score at 5.5 inches, again, just to the line. Okay. We're going to use this again, so don't put it too far. But what we're going to do first is we're going to take our craft knife. We take our ruler back, and we're going to cut on the line between the 2.5 and the 5.5 inch score lines. So now you may have to, you know, if you can't really see, where's my pencil? You could make an extra little mark here if you're having trouble seeing that. Just know you're going to want to erase that. So I'm lining up my 1.5 inches again, that line, and I'm cutting between those two score lines. Okay, Lindsay, thanks for coming. Good luck. All right, now we are going to go ahead and erase that line we drew. And any marks we made. Now, if you cut right on your line, it may be hit, the pencil mark might be hidden in the cut, and you don't really have to erase. All right, so now we've got 3 score lines and a cut line. We're going to take our scoreboard back, and we're going to put it, in with the cut line closest to the top, but we're putting it in upside down as to how we had it the first time. That's why we have to go back. So your bumps are facing up. And you're going to score at 6.5 inches. And again, you're only scoring to the cut line. So now you have 3 score lines in that one, at that 1.5 inch measurement. So you've got the end to end and the one in the middle. And then you've got your, that's, you know, to fold the card in half, your 5.5 inch score line. And when you when you fold on your score lines, remember you always want to fold towards the bump. And that's why we put it in and turned it around. So it's going to be a little tricky, but if you pick up your 1.5 inch section, you can go ahead and fold that larger score line, and then you can bring it down, and they should all fold nicely for you. And you've got your smaller section in front, you've got your valley fold in the middle here. And now I went a little long on one of my score lines. Can you see that little notch there? If you have one of those, you can just burnish it out with your bone folder, or you can rub your your burnishing tool in it, and you should be able to and it'll be practically invisible. All right, so there you go. Now, you just decorate it like you would any other card. It's just, it's just you have more sections. And there's a couple different ways to do it. I mean, you can do, and you'll see both this way. You can do one big long one here and a skinny one here, or you can do it the way I did it here, where we have the section at the top and a section at the bottom. Or you could probably break it up into 3 pieces. You could have a section at the top, a narrow piece here, another piece here. Lots of ways to do it. But we're going to look for our bunny paper. And we're going to go ahead and put that one down first across the bottom. And you've got 2 pieces of this. There'll be one for the inside as well. And you've got your standard 1/8 inch border. Just adjusting my fold a little bit. And then you've got your green piece that says happy on it. And again, I'm going to attach that temporarily since mine needs to be stamped. I have you have the happy on it, so you know which side to put up, but it's the lighter side. All right. And you're going to color in these flowers just like we did on that first card that had the Happy Easter. I used the light pink blend. I colored them all in with the light color first, added accents with the dark in the middle, and then used the light green, the light tip on those leaves. So that's that piece. We're going to decorate the inside before we put these other pieces on. This is the one stamp that came from another set. Since it said Happy Easter on the outside, I wanted to add a little something on the inside. So that's this stamp set you've seen before that has all the different greetings on it. And I stamped on the light side. This is easy enough easy enough stamp to stamp. So I'm just going to go ahead and attach that. And you'll have an 1/8 inch border at the top right and left, or top, bottom, right, and then a little bit at the left here, the top portion of it. And then we can put our, our bunny paper at the top and our pink paper below that. I'll go ahead and put adhesive on both right now. And I'm putting the bunnies right across the top. And then the pink will go in this section below it, between the bunnies and the yellow. And just keep your spacing equidistant. All right, and that will go down along the side here. Oh no. I'm wondering if everybody is missing a piece of paper. Please let me know if you're missing this piece of paper. Because now that I'm looking at my pile here, I'm wondering, did I get you the other piece? All right, let's put these on and then you can let me know. So you've got 3 sections here. top one is the shortest one. So in that one, I put butterflies. The middle section is the next largest, or well, it's the middle size piece. And that one I put with plaid. And then the bottom, which is the largest section, again, I use the butterfly side. And these all get centered in their section. This is the only one that looks a little odd, but you can line it up with the piece on top. The spacing, the white spacing on that one will be a little bigger. All right, now you are supposed to have another piece of plaid that goes here. So like if you turned your card over, it would be in this middle section. I don't have one in mine, and I don't know if I just goofed up on mine or if I goofed up on everybody. So if you don't have it, let me know, please, and I will get it to you. Because Cheryl, I can bring you one, and you and Lindsay one tomorrow. You've got all the pieces. Okay, good. I just goofed up on that one, on mine, I guess. So that's good. All right. All right, so now we can go ahead and color. Whoops, I can't lift it up. Our Easter piece and our bunny. Now the Easter is going to be just like before with the pale pink, except some of these I'm going to start with the medium color, and some of these I colored the insides. So like the first one, but I did do every other one. I did the inside darker. No, not every other one. I did 1, 3, 5, and 6. I colored the inside with the medium shade. And then the opposite ones, I colored the outside. So that's 2. So I'm just leaving some white space in the middle, and I'll go through with my light tip and fill in the middles of those just to give it a little variation. So that's 2, 4, and 7 are the outsides, are darker. All right, let me lift that for you so you have a little better view. And then I'm going to go through with the light tip and fill in the white spaces on all of them. So I've got the outside being the lighter color on 1, 3, 5, and 6. And and then the middles on 2, 4, and 7. Then I'm going to get my light green, and using the light tip, I'm going to color in all the leaves. This is stamped in the Sage ink. Whoops. And then I'm gonna use my medium tip to trace over the veins and the grass here at the end of the E, actually all the grass, just drawing a line over them. And then the stems and the veins on the leaves. And when my paper slipped, I made a dot of green above this leaf, so I'm just going to try to paint over it with my white gel pen. Doesn't quite cover it completely, but makes it a little less noticeable. Okay. And then, you know, again, like I said, on the flowers on this piece, I've got it dark, darker, which is the medium shade in the middle, lighter around the outside of the flower, and then I use the light green tip for all of the leaves. And then we will color our bunny, and I colored this bunny brown, the red-brown blend. And I might go, I'm going to start with the light. And I tried to keep him pretty light, just like he is on the paper. But I'm going to color him a little different than I did on the sample. In the sample, I also used the fair skin color to get more of a coral tone, but I'm going to, you can see here that I had the medium brown and the light brown and then more of the coral. And I'm going to color this guy more of the brown, but I'm going to leave his belly white. And then I'm going to use the medium just for a few accents here. I don't want to make them too much darker. A little bit on his arm, a little bit on his feet. Near his tail, tip of his ear, and under his head. Maybe a little bit of his cheek there. Yeah, that's all I'm going to do. And then I'm going to use, I'll use the peachy color for the inside of his ear. And I'm going to use the medium shade, fair skin, and color the inside of his ear there. And that's all that's needed. All right, so on this one, our Easter is going to have be a little bit in space, but it's only this top left corner that you have to make sure that you don't put foam tape on, and the bunny is totally all the green, so you don't have to worry about that. I'm just going to make sure not to put any in that top left corner. If I move that, you can see the shape better. As we're finishing up here, I'll let you know I don't have any more classes scheduled, but I do have some more planned. So just look out for the email. It won't be until April. All right, so I am not going to attach mine, but they will go there. The Easter is centered left to right on the full width of the card. And then the bunny goes up here in the top left corner of the green panel, and his tail is overlapping the H, but wherever it fits. Okay, so you don't have it, Cheryl. Okay. I will bring you you and Lindsay another piece tomorrow. Sorry about that. There's always a hidden piece somewhere, right? I was looking at the front of the card and I forgot about that, because once you open it, you forget there's that extra piece there. So that's it. If you have any questions, let me know. I will get you your piece. And I hope everybody enjoys the cards. And I will see you soon. Thanks so much. I'm glad you like it, Cheryl. I'll see you tomorrow. All right. Good night.